Thank you for joining XROM, which is India's first AR/VR focused podcast. And today, I'm delighted to have with me Mr. Oliver S., who's the founder and CEO at Be Light, which is a multi-sensory Metaverse application which leverages light and sound simulation to help you meditate and get into the flow state. So, Oliver, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. Why don't we start with a small, brief introduction?
Hello, first of all, everybody, and thanks for having me. My name is Oliver, and I'm originally from Germany, but actually I'm a classical digital nomad. And so I changed my life around 8 years ago. I was a management consultant and had a very successful career in Europe. And yeah, with mid of 30s, I had already my first burnout, and this was actually a wake-up call for me, how I changed my life and left the corporate world and dedicate some time for myself and for my own self-healing. And then on this journey, actually, I met interesting people from the meditation area, but also scientists, therapists, and so on. And this was actually the beginning of Be Light and how I came up with developing this new brainwave neuroscience meditation to actually make meditation, mental health, well-being, fun, easy, bring some entertainment into this, so to make it actually easy, accessible for everybody, for actually everybody, so that you don't have to learn it for weeks or for months, and that it goes very easy and quick. Because what I've figured out actually in my career and also after this was like the mental health, and this was really a wake-up call for me to do something and help others. So through my own, let's say, healing process and diving deep into meditation and the ancient methods, and then also into the modern science and technology, was like, okay, I have to bring everything together because we have so many potential with the metaverse, with the new technologies, with neuroscience, but also with the ancient wisdom. So why not combining everything? And this was actually how I started, like around 2.5 years ago.
Oliver, I would want you to elaborate on this, because you mentioned that you were working for a consulting company, successful consulting company. You faced a burnout, and then you decided to take a break. And during that break, the journey, you met a lot of scientists, engineers, neuroscientists, where you and you read about the ancient methods about meditation, spirituality, and talk to me about this transition, because somebody who's been successful in enterprise and the burnout. What was the burnout? Because this burnout, what you're talking about, is becoming widespread. Today, more and more people are facing that, but then, they are not openly admitting that there's a burnout because there is social pressure and there's needs to be met because of the economic condition, so on and so forth. So talk to me about the burnout, and how did you overcome the burnout by meeting these people, and then maybe the people and in the journey, and then maybe we'll get into the Be Lighter app.
Yeah, absolutely true. I mean, mental health is still a taboo, right? It has still a stigma, especially, let's say, the younger generation are quite open up more and more to talk about this. But it's still a taboo, and it was the same for me. I was working 70 hours every week. I was flying around Europe nearly every day, and was living out of my suitcase, and was just jumping from hotel and meeting room to meeting room. So, and I was actually ignoring. So this is what I learned. So through the warning signals of my body. But for me, it's like a signal. I couldn't sleep properly for a long time. I had the feeling I had like an 8-hour sleep, but I woke up and I feel quite exhausted. Then I felt like unmotivated. So it was really lack of motivation. And another thing was like a lack of concentration. Like I really, really had to drink a lot of coffee, for example, to give my body energy and to kind of focus. But like when you drink coffee, for example, it's also not too much coffee. It's not good for your body. So because it creates like too much stress in your body, it's changing the biochemical structure. and everybody is kind of ignoring these signals, and it's pushing through. So, and instead of maybe giving myself 5 minutes, going out for 5 minutes, or just sit with closed eyes, and checking in with yourself, or do some conscious breathing. So there's so many amazing techniques out there. But I was not giving myself the time. And this is what I mean with pushing through. It's like, oh no, I don't have time right now. It's, I have so much pressure because I had to deliver stuff and so on. And so this was like the signals was getting worse and worse. And, I was totally exhausted sometimes, laying in bed, and had really problems to fall asleep. And one day, actually, I was so exhausted that my body really starts striking. Like, no, I was sitting in front of my laptop and wanted to write an email, or wanted to prepare a presentation, and it took ages to get ready, or to get it done. And at one point, I realized, okay, I have to change something. And that was actually my wake up call. And I wanted to go on a sabbatical, first of all, so to give myself a break, to breathe, to go traveling, to learn something else, to change something, to go out of my environment. And through this sabbatical, or traveling around the world, I was traveling a lot in Asia, and then I was diving deep into meditation, and then a whole new world opened up for me. Before, I was already doing some meditation, but I was so stuck in my mind. It was like, okay, I'm working hard, so I need something to do some fitness. It was more like a fitness thing for my mind. And then I was diving deeper into this, and I learned like what is meditation, what is mindfulness and awareness, and so on. And I learned meditation, different types of meditation, and breath work, and Reiki, and so on and so on. Was doing a lot of yoga. And then this year extended and extended, and I was doing a lot of trainings. I became a meditation trainer. I became a breathwork coach. I became a Reiki teacher. And through this journey, I actually met a lot of interesting scientists and therapists, which were combining both sides, the esoteric methods, or let's say, I think we don't have to talk in our times about the proof of how efficient, for example, meditation, yoga, or breathwork is. There's so much studies out there, and this kind of scientist and therapist was combining both. Like, they were working with technology, with neuroscience technology, but at the same time with these ancient methods. And so I learned so much of them. And for me was, why not combining both? Because I started giving workshops, and I was giving workshops with young people, with backpackers in Thailand, in Bali, in Ibiza, but also with top managers, with companies, and everybody was benefiting so much of this. Because I said, I tried meditation, but it's not for me. I cannot sit down. When I go into silence, my mind is shattering. It makes me nervous, actually. It takes time to really calm down, and I don't have this time. But with this kind of combination, it goes very quick. And then, people told me like, wow, I could sleep for 3 days properly, because there were people out there, and I was working with them. They had the same symptoms like I had before. And so this was actually the starting point, giving my workshops and then combining this amazing audiovisual, or light and sound brainwave technology, with meditation, breathwork, and so on.
Lovely. How cool is that? So I want to get into that, but I want to take a moment and let people know that at this point in time, you were lucky to have a wake up call, but then there are a lot of people who are so caught up with work, day-to-day work, trying to make ends meet, and they get so caught up by work, they ignore all the signals that they get from the body till the time it becomes too late. But I hope that at least the listeners who are listening into the podcast, understand that, the only thing that we have, and it's the most important thing, is health. If we don't have health, no wealth will be able to bring back your health. So I think that's the core, and everybody should listen to the body signals and obviously, we live in a world which is very economically driven, and economics plays a huge role in how we interact with the world and what we do. But there is a way to find that balance. So talking about balance, how do we find this balance? You had like a wake up call. What is this balance? How do you get to it? Somebody who's a Reiki teacher, a breathwork coach, and somebody who's now developing an app, a multi-sensory app. What is that balance? How do you get into that balance?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And there is actually no, what is it like one rule for everybody, because we are all so different. And I think this is what we also have to acknowledge, first of all, to really get, let's say, because we all have this inner wisdom, I will call it, this intuition, this gut feelings. And this gut feeling, this intuition, however you want to call it for yourself, is there. And it's telling you what is the best way and the right thing for you in this moment. But answering your question, maybe first of all, also to break a stigma, is like stress is a normal thing in our world. If you go to the animals, so they have stress. There's a zebra, it's chased by the lion, it has stress. And if you observe, for example, some documentaries or animals, it's like they have a natural mechanism how to get rid of the stress. So, for example, they're shaking, and you see like their muscles are shaking for a few minutes. So it's like this emotion. It's also called energy in motion. And so to really release this energy out of the body, so our body is so intelligent, it knows mechanism actually. But if you grow older, and there's like a lot of science out there, is like how much we're getting more stuck in our heads and not really getting in tune with our body, with our intuition and the signals I was talking about. So to find your balance is also, first of all, know you have the responsibility for yourself. No one else will do it for you. So you have to make the first step to change something. And awareness, of course, like something is wrong, something is out of balance, is, let's say, the first and most important part to really make the step. And then the second one is try to find a method which is easy for you to integrate. So because I think in our modern times, it's like, especially when we talk about work-life balance, or when people hear about yoga or meditation, they have this picture in their head, the stereotype of, I have to sit in a cross-legged position with closed eyes at least for an hour or whatever. No, it's not like this, actually. It can be just 1 minute. Try to start with 1 minute. And if you feel like super stressed, and most of the time we can feel it, and if you get more in tune with your body, you feel like maybe you have some pressure on your chest, or you feel like this tension in your body, or you feel like when you talk to your colleagues, to your family, you're not the same person anymore. You're easily triggered, and then maybe getting frustrated or angry. So if you see something like this is already rising, then give yourself just a minute, close your eyes. And for me, the easiest way is really close your eyes and just consciously breathe in into your chest, in and out, being honest to yourself, being honest to the others, and say, hey, I have already, my table is full of work. I can do this. But I want to be honest with yourself. Instead of putting it onto my plate again, I say, it will take 2 weeks or 1 week, or I cannot deliver it until the end of the week, instead of saying yes, yes, yes all the time. Learning to say no, it's a yes to yourself. And this is a very, very important thing to find the balance for you, because it's also like in our societies, saying no to someone is also like feeling guilty. I have rejected this person. What thinks this person of me now? Because he thinks maybe I'm not good enough, I cannot do it, or whatever is maybe in your conscious at this moment. This is also subconscious programs. And these subconscious programs are running, actually, if we're growing older, our life. And I can have a whole speech, and I think talking about 2 hours about subconscious programs and how it determines how we react in our daily life.
Would you be able to quickly elaborate on subconscious programming? Because subconscious programming is a huge subject in itself, and is being there are a lot of people, great minds, who are working on it and enabling people and empowering people around subconscious programming. Could you maybe talk briefly about that? And while you are at it, also talk briefly on how do you get to the flow state that we talk about? How do we get into the state of flow?
To make it short, all the perfect neuroscience or science terminology, but we have more or less our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. So now we are awake. So we are talking. So our conscious mind is more dominant in this moment, and is also related to a state of brain waves. So our brain is working on different brain waves like beta, alpha, theta, delta, gamma brain waves. And all the brainwaves are running at the same time, but depends on the state where we are in. Now, for example, we are awake, we are concentrated, so our beta brainwaves are more dominant. So alpha brainwaves, this has a different, let's say, a lot of different qualities and purposes, but very easy speaking. When you close your eyes, you go into a relaxing state, then your alpha state is more dominant. If you go to high theta, for example, and it's a kind of daydreaming. It's also the state where you go into trance state or hypnosis. And this is also a state where you get connection to your subconscious mind. And so our subconscious mind is way more powerful than our conscious mind. So there's like different research out there. And of course, there depends on the research you're reading, but let's say around 1 million times faster than our conscious mind. So everything which is stored in our subconscious mind, on our hard drive, is there. And it's really difficult to get out of our system. So, and I don't know how it's in your country, but in my country, or in general speaking, it's like there's this saying, the first 7 years of a child is so important. Because what we learned in the first 7 years, it's very important for the rest of our life. And that's absolutely true, because the child has totally different brainwave state. For the first 6, 7, 8 years, a child doesn't have, for example, alpha, beta brainwaves, or very slightly only. So it's more in the subconscious. So everything what we are learning is going directly in the subconscious. And another way is how things are going in the subconscious, like when you're repeating a lot of stuff again and again and again and again and again. So then it's going into subconscious. Or if a situation or an event is related to a dramatic emotional impact, then it goes also directly on your subconscious. So you're not present. And so this is like your subconscious taking over. And this happens in all situations in our life. When we get triggered, for example, our colleague, or maybe in our family, especially when we have like close people in our environment, it's so easy to be in our subconscious. And the subconscious is like a record of the past. So we are be in the present moment, but acting in the present moment out of our experience from the past. So we are not really aware in this present moment, and not really seeing the situation and maybe the potential in the present moment. And this is how powerful the subconscious can be, and how it can really run our life and create the same patterns again and again, the same situation with the same colleagues, or maybe different customers, but the same situation, getting frustrated. So there's like a repeating a pattern, and this is coming most of the time from our subconscious. So to dig deeper, and this is why mindfulness, meditation, and this kind of practices are so powerful. It's really overwriting, like rewiring our subconscious, and becoming more aware. So let's say, there's a nice saying from Dr. Joe Dispenza: your personality creates your personal reality. So if you want to change something in your personal reality, you have to change something in your personality. And this is actually where the subconscious coming to play. And we can talk for ages about this, but you see, it's not an easy topic, but I hope I wrapped it up in a way to get at least a little glimpse. Right. And the second question was, what again?
Getting into a state of flow.
And being in the flow state means that you're in alignment. Your body, your mind, your soul, your heart, your inner state is in alignment with your mental state. But most of the time, we are just practicing being aware of our thoughts and not being aware what else is talking through us. And if this is not in alignment, in harmony, then it's really difficult to get into the flow state. But if you have the right customer, if you have the right situation, or if you are stressed and you're giving yourself 5 minutes and then maybe coming back to your desk and start working again, you're coming up with different solutions. The work feels much lighter again. And this is a sign getting back into your flow state and get off instead of pushing through. So please don't push through, and at least give yourself a minute. And sometimes this minute helps a lot to see things differently.
Right, completely. Oliver, Be Light app. Talk to us about it, because you're leveraging light and sound. Now, there are so many people, so many top neuroscientists who are really working at the cutting edge of neuroscience to find ways to possibly help create some kind of a solution or healthcare therapy which can help the mental health problem that we are facing in the world. How are you leveraging light and sound, and why metaverse is being put into the picture of this?
So maybe people know sound healing or relaxation music, meditation music. There's a lot of stuff out there on Spotify, on YouTube. And of course, this music, it's very powerful. But we are visual beings. Let's say so we have like a visual cortex, and our visual cortex is much bigger. So the visual cortex of our brain than the audio cortex, because we're perceiving the world through our eyes. So, and we can stimulate from the outside with pulsing light. We can stimulate a different brainwave and induce a different brainwave state. For example, if you are stressed, it's a sign that you're in high beta. And then even for me, for example, I'm practicing meditation since 8-9 years. But if I'm really stressed, it's really difficult, to calm down. I have to sit for quite a while to get into the state. But what happened with light and sound is like we're stimulating through the closed eyes with the pulsing light, and then the sound is synchronized, and in the sound and in the pulsing light, there are brainwave frequencies. So for example, we're stimulating through this light and sound frequencies with alpha. So calming down, bringing you into a restful state. And it goes very quick. So within 5 to 10 minutes, your brain is adapting to the stimulation from the outside. And instead of sitting there for an hour and two, with closed eyes and hoping, that you can get there, it goes within 5, 10, 15 minutes. And you can use it for different things. So you can use it to relax and let go of stress. If you cannot concentrate, for example, or you have a very important meeting and you want to go into the flow states, there's a different brainwave frequency we can stimulate. If you cannot sleep, there's a different brainwave frequency. So for every task, let's say, there's a different brainwave state, and this we can induce, and we call it ancient wisdom meets modern science, because we're combining it also with meditation and breath work or visualization, but also this light and sound stimulation. Super interesting. So there's like some research out there. So it shows that shamans like 4,000 or 5,000 years ago used already light stimulation. So they were creating a spinning wheel with different shapes in it, and then they were holding it in front of the bonfire or of the sun, spinning the wheel and having this flickering light actually. And in combination with drums, so they were going into this trance state, into an expanded state of consciousness. So they were using already this kind of technology. And now, of course, in our modern times, we have more possibilities to use it even more precisely. And our idea was creating an app, so you can use the screen of your phone for the light source, to use the screen for the light stimulation, because everybody has a smartphone. So we wanted to start with the app to make it very easy accessible. and easy to use, and actually also fun. The next step will be, and we have already a showroom in the Metaverse, and we were doing events in the Metaverse. By the way, yesterday we had an online event. Every month we are also doing it online and sometimes in the Metaverse. And the idea is, while the
My
Metaverse...
question is, Oliver, why do we need the metaverse? But wouldn't this, like a phone or a TV, just suffice? Because yes, I completely do understand light and sound has healing properties, and that's the reason I think, the YouTube's flooded with these meditation music and light itself, photons. All the information that we see is basically nothing but photons. You nodding your head, the colors on your t-shirts, it's these lights which is going through my brain waves. It's interpreting it as a certain specific color. So yes, there is a science behind it, but why do we need the metaverse for that? And maybe talk also about your pricing plan of your application.
Yeah. So the pricing plan is, so we have like a monthly and a yearly subscription for the app. And it's around €7 for the monthly subscription and around €50 for the yearly, for the annual. But there's like 3 sessions in the app. In the Metaverse, we can give you even a better understanding what it's out there. We can educate you, with videos, but also with immersive experiences, with other coaches, other therapists, other professionals. And for this, I think the Metaverse and the immersive experience we can get into the Metaverse will be in the future. I also want to be honest, right now, the Metaverse it's at the experimental state, and we are also experimenting with this. But I think in the next 2-3 years, the technology will make a jump, and then it's much easier to integrate all of this and also to link the app. So it's also an idea. We don't want to be a digital company, because we're giving also physical workshops, workations, retreats. So to be really there, maybe the app is the entrance point. Maybe you come into one of our online sessions onto the Metaverse because you want to learn more and want to go deeper. And maybe you want to go really on a transformational journey, and you want to learn about your subconscious programs. And then you come maybe to our retreat, or maybe you figure out, retreat is or vacations is a good thing. And there's stuff out there, or maybe teachers out there. And then you go there for a few days and you even learn more techniques and more about yourself. So really building the bridge between the real world, the digital world, and then the virtual or the Metaverse world. And the Metaverse is definitely a big point on our roadmap, because we also want to integrate health NFTs, where you can track your health in our app, in other apps, in our Metaverse, in other Metaverses, to get, for example, a wellness report. And then you can also see, last month I was doing some regular exercises. This month, because again, and it's so easy, we all know this with our New Year's resolutions, the first 2-3 weeks we are fully, motivated, and then slowly we're falling back into our old patterns. And now you have a report. It's on your blockchain, it's on your NFT, it's your personal data. No one else can do something with you, but you can collect the data in one point, and then learn from this what is good for you, what helps you, and so on and so on.
The most important problem today is mental health, because it's a growing problem, and it's not impacting only the grown-ups. There are children, because of the deluge of digital content which is being pushed onto them and their social lives. There is a growing number of young children who are also having these mental health problems. Can you talk about your roadmap? What comes next for you? And how do you think we can tackle this growing problem of mental health in the coming years to come?
Building a conscious business. And I think what's very important, and this is big on our agenda, is like creating awareness for mindfulness in general. Because with the new technology, we have like an amazing possibility out there changing something. But if you see what happens actually with social media, with the smartphone, with the Web 2, how we create actually this kind of application, I think it's not a, it's an open secret that companies putting algorithm in their applications to trigger different things in your brain, your dopamine, and so on and so on, to keep you on the platform. So actually, it's not really a mindful way to act as a company with my customers. And in another ways, also me as a customer, as the user, becoming aware how to really use the technology wisely, that I'm not getting addicted, that I'm not getting drained from using my phone all the time. I mean, there's studies out there, you know, people looking every 5 minutes on their smartphone. If someone is forgetting his smartphone at home, people getting nervous and so on. It's like, this is something showing us how technology is not really helping us, but it's making us addictive, and we becoming the product of technology. So on our agenda is like, next week, for example, I'm speaking at a big Web3 conference, and the whole year round. So we're going to tech conferences and showing this correlation of tech evolution, or let's say tech development, tech revolution. So how it goes up, and also the mental health and health crisis in general. There's a direct correlation because of the business leaders and developers who creating this kind of platforms, this kind of algorithm, which is not really, let's say, in a kind, compassion and loving way made. This is really making business and yeah, making the most out of it. And also creating this mindfulness and awareness for the users. So really talking to all stakeholders and bringing awareness in the way we are using technology for the future. And the Web3 can create a real big paradigm shift. So I'm in different kind of networks, and there's amazing people out there using this technology wisely to help fighting climate changes, the mental health crisis, the crisis of consciousness and mindfulness in general. So really growing back together as society, as people, so to create a compassionate and collaborative society where we help each other and create real win-win-win situation for everybody. And I think this is a big thing if we want to create a positive shift for everybody in the future in our world, and helping to people, creating this awareness and this shift in mindset for all of us.
Really appreciate you taking time being part of the podcast. Yes, I think whatever the points you mentioned, we're living in a world where we've become the product, and there are a few entrepreneurs who are looking at building products which are more conscious and which is benefits us rather than feeds us into the ecosystem or the capitalist structure that we are into. So I hope that there are more and more entrepreneurs who look at building products more holistically, where we, the people, are not the product. So wish you and your team the very best at Be Light app. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Oliver. Really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thanks to everybody. And yeah, please reach out if you have any question. Thanks, Eddie.